So, bore da I chi gyd. Gobeithio eich gyd yn cadw'n dda, a diolch yn fawr iawn i chi am ymuno gyda ni bore yma. Mae'r webinar hon yn rhoi cyfle i ganolfannau gwrdd â staff City and Guilds ac IEL sy'n ymwneud â sicrhau ansawdd, y cymwysterau adeiladu a pheiriannau gwasanaethau adeiladu. Rai newid sydd yn cael ei rheoleiddio gan Cymwysterau Cymru. Rydym i gyd yn gweithio adre, felly ymddeiriadau ymlaen llaw am unrhyw sŵn yn y cefndir ac unrhyw oedi yn y sleidiau. Fyddwch yn derbyn e-bost yn ystod y webinar o gyfrif Sgiliau Gymru a fydd yn cynnwys y pwynt pŵer fydd yn cael ei gyflwyno i chi nawr yn y Gymraeg ac hefyd yn y Saesneg. Bydd hefyd linc i'n harolwg i chi gael rhoi cyfle i roi eich adborth. Fe fyddwn yn ddiolchgar iawn bod chi'n gallu cymeryd yr amser i lenwi hwn gan bod eich adborth yn bwysig iawn i ni. Byddwch yn derbyn e-bost arall awr ar ôl y webinar o'r cyfrif Go to Webinar gyda recordiad o'r webinar ac hefyd tystysgrif i nodi eich presenoldeb yn y webinar. Bydd hefyd linc arall i'n harolwg ar gyfer yr adborth rhag ofn i chi heb gael cyfle i lenwi hwn i fewn yn yr e-bost gyntaf. Good morning to you all. Hope you're all keeping well, and thank you very much for joining us. This webinar gives an opportunity for centres to meet the City and Guilds and EAL staff involved in the quality assurance of the new construction and building services engineering qualifications regulated by Qualifications Wales. As we are all working from home, I apologise in any advance for any background noise and any delay in the slides. You will receive an email during this webinar from Skills for Wales account, which will include these slide decks in both Welsh and English, and also a feedback survey. We would be very grateful if you could take the time to fill in this survey, as your feedback is very valuable to us. Another email will be sent approximately an hour after the end of the webinar from the GoToWebinar platform, and this will include a recording of this webinar and also a certificate of attendance. You will also find another link to the feedback survey, just in case you haven't had a chance to do so from the first email. Dyma beth byddwn ni'n edrych yn o bore yma. This is what we will be discussing today. Can we look at the next slide, please, Susan? Fe fyddai'n cyflwyno chi'n cyflwynwyr heddiw, ac yna fyddwn ni'n edrych ar y gefnogaeth fydd ar gael i chi ar gyfer darparu y cymwysterau yma trwy gyfrwng y Gymraeg. Yna fe fyddwn ni'n edrych ar y gyfres o gymwysterau fydd ar gael, ac yna yn edrych ar y broses i chi gael eich gymeradwyo i ddysgu y cymwysterau newydd yma, ac yna y cymorth hefyd fydd ar gael i chi. I gloi, fe fyddwn yn rhoi y cyfle i chi ofyn unrhyw gwestiynau. Plis rhowch eich cwestiynau yn y tab Cwestiynau sydd ar y llaw dde o'ch sgrin yn ystod y webinar. So this is what we will be discussing. I will introduce our presenters today, and then we will show you the Welsh language support that will be available for you. We will have a look over the qualification suite, and then we will then go through the process for centres to approve to deliver these new qualifications, and also the customer support that's available for you. And then you have an opportunity for you to ask us any questions. Please type in any questions that you have throughout this webinar in the questions tab on the right hand side of your screen throughout this webinar. Dyma I chi eich cyflwynwyr heddi. Here are your presenters today. Hoffwn diolch yn fawr iawn I Dr Daniel Tromans. Thank you very much to Dr Daniel Tromans, who's the Senior Qualifications Manager for Qualifications Wales, who's with us today to answer any questions you may have. Diolch. We have Mark Jones, who's the External Quality Assurance Manager for EAL. Alexandra Buckingham, who's the Customer Experience Manager at EAL. James Hartwell, who's the Coordination and Contracts Administrator at EAL. Susan Beatty, who's the Quality Team Manager at City and Guilds. Andy Lancelot, who's the Customer Service Team Leader at City and Guilds. And also Sian Bedis, who's the Welsh Language Coordinator at City and Guilds. And myself, Gymeradwyaeth, who's the Business Manager for City and Guilds. On this next slide, we can have a look at the contact information that's available for you. So it's broken down into the City and Guilds team. So you can see there from there the quality team for City and Guilds. We have Andrew, Zara, Maddie, Susan, Sian, Sarah and Rachel. Also the Skills for Wales number there for City and Guilds. And the email address for City and Guilds would be skillsforwales.quality@cityandguilds.com. And also the customer service telephone number, which is currently the 0844 number, but will change from the 15th of March. And from the EAL, we have the quality team there for Mark and James, and the telephone number and the email address for the skillsforwales.quality@eal.org.uk. And also the customer service telephone number and email address there for EL. Hoffwn nawr eich trosglwyddo i Sian Bedis a fydd yn eich tywysg trwy y slide nesaf. I would now like to pass you over to Sian Bedis, who will take you through the next slide. Diolch, Sian.
Diolch, Angharad. As Angharad said, I'm Sian Bedis. I work for City and Guilds in the quality team based in Cardiff. And I just wanted to confirm with you the support that we have for the Welsh language for these new qualifications. And firstly, to say that all of the qualifications, both construction and building services engineering, will be available in Welsh. So that's all the qualification materials, both in Welsh and in English. We also have a completely bilingual website, which is www.skillsforwales.wales, and there is a toggle on that site where you can move quite easily between the Welsh and English, which is great. Then we've got also the certificates will be available bilingually for every learner completing these qualifications. And of course, if you've got any queries, be that on the phone or email, you can of course contact us and you will receive a response in Welsh as well. So just to confirm that you have that support for you for all centres if you would like to converse in Welsh or contact us in the medium of Welsh. And back to you, Angharad.
Morning, everybody. My name is Mark Jones. I'm one of the EQA managers for EAL. I'll just take you through the next few slides. Just first of all to introduce you to the suite of qualifications here. So we've got the level 2 foundation qualification, and that becomes live from 2021. Qualification handbooks and assessment materials are available on the www.skillsforwales.wales/qualifications website. There's only the foundation qualification handbook available at the moment. We're waiting for approval for the progression and the level 3 apprenticeship qualifications later on in the year. At the moment, there'll be dual run with the legacy qualifications, and candidates can be registered on the City and Guilds Walled Garden from the 1st of September 2021 for the foundation qualifications. There's been letters to the centres from Qualification Wales regarding the dual running, and an infographic regarding transitional arrangements explaining the dual running. Moving on to the level 2 progression, qualification handbooks and assessment materials will be available from April 2021, and again from the Skills for Wales website there. Candidates can be registered on City and Guilds Walled Garden and on the EL Smarter Touch from 1st of September. And again, this will be dual run with the legacy qualifications. And as mentioned above, letters to centres from Qualification Wales, and the infographic has been sent out. The level 3 apprenticeships from September 2022, expecting approval from May 2021, and will go live from September 2022. Currently translating draft handbooks for publication, so that's where we are with the level 3 progression and the foundation qualifications at the moment. If you can go on to the next slide, Susan, please. Okay, application forms and guidance documentation is available on the www.skillforwales.wales Become a Centre website. Although at the moment, if you make applications, we've had a couple of applications in so far that requested, you know, both the foundation, the progression, and the level 3 qualifications. But at the moment, it's only the foundation that's available. So we can approve foundation qualification, but you'd have to make separate applications for the progression and for the level 3. So some centres have decided to hold off until they're all available before they make the application. Okay, that's up to you really. Centres must refer to the qualification handbooks to ensure applications meet requirements for staff, resources, equipment, test bays, etc. Centres asked to only apply for the qualifications that they will use. Don't click all of the qualifications. Okay, next slide, Susan. So the qualifications that are available, so we've got the foundation, which are City and Guilds qualifications for the foundation level. So City and Guilds Foundation qualification in construction and building services engineering level 2. City and Guilds core in construction and building services engineering level 2. For the progression, this is where it expands. As you can see there, we've got the progression qualifications for City and Guilds for the construction side. So we've got bricklaying, architectural joinery, site carpentry, timber frame erection, painting and decorating, solid plastering, roof slating and tiling, dry lining and fixing, and groundworks. And then for the progression for EL qualifications, it's the EL progression in building services engineering level 2 for plumbing and heating. EL progression in building services engineering level 2 electrotechnical systems and equipment installation. Okay, if you can move the slide, Susan, thank you. So the level 3 apprenticeships in construction, again, City and Guilds based qualifications in dry lining, roof slating and tiling, civil operations and groundworks, plant operations, further plant operations, timber frame erection, bricklaying, architectural joinery, site carpentry, painting and decorating, solid plastering, and wall and floor tiling. For the level 3 apprenticeships building service engineering, we've got the EAL level 3 in heating and ventilation, craftsperson, heating and ventilation installation, plumbing and heating, and electrotechnical installation. Okay, if you can move on to the next slide.
Okay, now I think it's over to me now. Thank you, Mark. So myself and James will be going through the next few slides. So yeah, my name's Susan Beattie and I work in the quality team then. So by myself and the rest of the team who would normally be based in Cardiff, we'll be reviewing and managing the applications then. So I'd just like to say hello to everyone and I hope you're all keeping safe and well. So what is different about these qualifications? Excuse me. These are brand new qualifications which have been approved and regulated by Qualifications Wales. Now, an offline application form has to be completed and that is available in the Become a Centre section of the Skills for Wales website. Now, there's also a guidance document available there to assist centres with the application form, and the website is going to be getting updated shortly with the centre FAQs, an admin guide and a quality assurance and assessment guide. Now, there's one application form to be completed for all centres, so regardless of whether the approval is for City and Guilds or EAL qualifications, it is one application form then. So the reason for this and for the application form being bespoke, so centres can't apply through Walled Garden or Smarter Touch, so the reason for it being offline is that it is one application covering all qualifications. It only needs to be completed once then, so centres don't need to complete a separate one for City and Guilds or EAL. It means as well the centre can submit approval now, ready to register from the 1st of September. So you can submit your application form just now and you would get confirmation that you have approval, but you wouldn't be able to register or see these qualifications on Walled Garden or Smarter Touch until September. The other reason is as well is that the systems that City and Guilds and EAL use, they can't really be aligned, so that's another reason for the offline form as well. So all centres, current and existing, must submit an application form then. Having approval for what will ultimately become the legacy qualifications will not exempt centres, so everyone must complete an application form then. There will be no charge for centre and qualification approval, so I think that is going to be in the FAQs, and that might have been mentioned in the previous webinars being run by David Pye and Ian Roberts. So although there's no charge for centre and qualification approval, it is just to stress though that if centres apply for qualifications out with this contract, they would need to be applied for through Smarter Touch, through Walled Garden, and there would be whatever the awarding body charge is then for a qualification. And I'd wanted to say as well that the qualifications will not get direct claim status, or DCS as it's sometimes known, for at least 2 years. So this would be guided by Qualifications Wales, so they'll confirm if and when that might be lifted then. When it comes to certifications, so because centres won't get direct claim status then, EQA sampling, so the external quality assurers will have to complete sampling then in order before certificates can be claimed for candidates. And the expectation is that EQA sampling of candidate portfolios will be planned and completed via Walled Garden and Smarter Touch. So we've included some links to just useful documents then. All information about the qualifications is on the Skills for Wales website, so you won't find mention of these qualifications in the City and Guilds or EAL website. Everything is on the Skills for Wales one then. So everything to do with the centre and qualification approval, where the guidance document is, the FAQs, the admin guide and the quality assurance guide that I mentioned, they'll be under the Become a Centre section of the website. Any updates to the qualifications will be issued via email, so we would really encourage staff in centres to sign up for these updates then, and that's on the Skills for Wales website as well. Any updates about the qualifications, any notification about webinars, any alerts, this is how centres will get notified of them then. We've included the link to where the qualification handbooks will live. So at the moment, as Mark said, it's only the foundation that's available at the moment. So the handbook is already there. The assessment materials, they're already there just now. As the progression and the level 3 are added, this is where the qualification information will live as well. Any networking events and webinars, you'll be able to see what is coming up then on the training and events section of the website. So all the qualification information is in the Skills for Wales website, but there is the usual documentation, the policies and procedures that centres do need to follow as well then. So we have the link to the City and Guilds quality assurance information, so the centre manual and our quality assurance requirements, are OQAR as it's known. The City and Guilds walled garden, so we have, you know, the help and support, the user guides, the user profiles, they're available in the walled garden section then. And I'm just going to pass you over to James Hartwell, and he'll take you through the EAL information.
Thank you, Susan.
Thanks,
good morning,
James.
everyone. Right, my name is James Hartwell. I work with EAL. So all of our information in relation to guidance and manuals and so forth will be found on the Smarter Touch system. And your application, as Susan mentioned previously, will be done via the offline form submitted through the relevant inboxes through the emails, and then passed on to myself, where I'll set up the, if you're a new centre, set you up as a new user for Smarter Touch. And as I've just stated, that all the information will be found on the, in relation to guidance manuals and Smarter Touch user guides through the system. Thank you.
Lovely, thank you, James. Okay, so I'm going to take you through the approval application form section then. So this is available, as I'd mentioned, on the Become a Centre section of the Skills for Wales website. Now, for centres already approved with either City and Guilds or EAL, or I think probably any awarding body then, the information that we require in this application will likely be familiar. It's just that it's in a different format then. So I don't think there'll be any surprises for the centres when they have a look at this application form. It's just how we're asking for it is slightly different then. Now, what we've done is we have included some screenshots of the application form within the slide deck then, but please have a look at the application form on the website, so please feel free to refer to that then. On completion of the application form, it's to be emailed to a central inbox. So the inbox is skillsforwales.quality@cityandguilds.com, and all applications are managed from there. So it is the one inbox. It is managed by the team who would normally be based in Cardiff, but on receipt of one of these application forms, it is logged and shared with EAL. So there is complete transparency throughout this application process then. So the application form itself is split into 3 sections. So section A is required by all centres then, so everyone needs to complete this. It confirms really the centre address, the telephone number, the centre number if they're already approved with EAL and City and Guilds, the main points of contact for the centre then. Section B, so this is the approval information then, so it asks for a bit more detailed information because this section is only completed by brand new centres then. So current centres, if you do complete that, that's great, but it isn't required. It is only for new centres, so those that don't already have approval with City and Guilds and or EAL. So in this section, we are looking for the centre to include that they've got the management systems that are required, they've got the policies in place, the procedures, the resources in place to offer these qualifications. We'll ask for information about approvals with other awarding bodies. Yeah, so that's asked for in this section. And as I said, it shouldn't really be any different to anyone who is applying for centre approval, you know, if you've already got approval with other awarding bodies then. In section C, this is required by all centres as well then. So this is where centres can state which qualifications it is that they're looking for approval for then. So it includes whether the qualifications will be offered in Welsh or English, estimated candidate volumes in the first and second years, and estimated start dates. Now, the reason that we ask for that is to help us plan for sampling activities. It is purely for planning purposes really then. We also ask for details of the staff involved in the assessment, delivery and internal quality assurance of the qualifications as well. And there is a section where we ask for alternative locations for assessment. Now that's if it's known at the point of application. So that being missed, or if you don't know that at the moment, that won't hold the application up then. We would ask for that for centres to notify us of that once they know that information then. So I'm just going to jump back. I've missed a section out. Within section C as well, there is the centre declaration. So this is a signed declaration which can be typed in. It can be a typed signature, and it confirms the data sharing agreement, and that's at the end of the application form as well then. So I'm just going to pass you on to Mark, and he'll take you through the approval journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Here we are back with Mark Jones from AAL. Okay, the approval journey then. Obviously, once you've filled your application and it comes in into the Scales of Wales website, as you can see there on the drop-down arrow list there, it tells you the sort of process of what will happen. So approvals from January 2021, which we've mentioned are open at the moment, but there's only the foundation that's available for approval. The others will come along once documentation is available and released later in the year. All sections to be completed. Additional information may be requested if required, and this is more about the staffing, the centre details, etc., and their qualifications. External quality assurer, EQA, subject to matter, will expect allocated to complete the approval activity. So the EQA will contact you and discuss the information. Once the EQA is completed their part of the form, it will be shared with the centre. There may be some actions on there which we'll come to a bit later on. It'll be communicated in writing as well. Okay, next slide, please. So the external quality assurer will be allocated to the centre and will ask for CVs of staff that are delivering, assessing or IQing on the qualifications that you've applied for. Certification processes, CPD records, and any copies of certificates that may be required that are listed on the CVs to be viewed as well, just to make sure they are legitimate. Evidence of occupational competence as well for assessors and IQA staff within the trade that they're going to be assessing and quality assuring will need to be evidenced, and obviously hopefully that will be portrayed in the CVs. Evidence of resources as well will need to be sampled and checked. When we started out on this, it was going to be a centre engagement visit with EQAs, but obviously with the pandemic at the moment now, we're having to do things remotely. So it'll be through the use of Teams, maybe Zoom, or use of cameras or pictures of test bays, etc., resources that you've got within the centre to be able to run these courses. For brand new centres, evidence of policies, procedures, documentation, etc. for section B will also be requested to be viewed as well. Next slide, please, Susan. So some additional points then. Centres can expect a decision about the approval within 30 working days of receipt of the complete application. Separate approvals must be submitted for sub-centres. Approvals cannot transfer between centres. Centres do not need to invent new documentation for these qualifications. Example, IQA planners adapt what is available to suit. City and Guilds have their IQA documentation, AAL have our IQA documentation, which is currently being reviewed, so there'll be some further guidance on that for AAL centres. Centres may not know which assessment sites they will have following approval. This can be shared with City and Guilds and AAL once these are known. Okay, next slide, please. So the approval outcomes could be approved with no actions. So centre has met all the criteria for centre and the qualification approval. That's good to go. It may be approved with actions. So there may be some areas that we may need to see. So there'll be an action placed on the centre, which will be smart for you to provide that information before we can consider approval. And then there may be approval declined. That may be because you've not got the suitable staff, you haven't got the facilities in place yet. There may be a number of reasons, but again, there'll be a smart action plan will be included in the approval report. Okay, Susan. It's over to Andy now, is it? Customer support.
Yeah, thank you very much. So hello guys, my name's Andy Lancelot. I'm based out of our Wakefield office and I manage the Cardiff customer service team. So I'd just like to just make you aware that our customer service consortium teams work closely with all the colleagues that you've heard from today. And that's just to ensure that we can support you through delivery of this new suite of qualifications. So what our role is that we will guide you through from registering learners all the way through to certification and all the platforms and systems in between that. So a few just to mention, got Wall Garden for City and Guilds customers, Smarter Touch for EEL customers, and also Secure Assess for the online testing. So we are here to support with any questions that you have, whether this be today, in the questions shortly, or in the near future. So please do get in touch and we're happy to help. We do also appreciate any feedback you can provide, which helps us to continue to build the best experience for yourself. So we do look forward to hearing from you in that respect. I'd also like to mention as well that on the Skills for Wales website, in the support tab, we have got the FAQ sections, which are for centres, learners and employers. So we hope you find those useful. And we'll build those over time in the coming weeks and months. And Harrod, I'll hand over you now for questions. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Andy. Just before we go to the questions, we've got a few questions to ask you. We've got a few polls that we'd like to have your views on, and your answers on. Just on to them. So the first question is, when do you intend delivering the foundation qualification? So if you could select one answer there, please. It's either going to be September 2021 or September 2022. I'll give you a few more seconds to see them. The answers coming in. Okay. Diolch yn fawr, I'm just start now. Diolch, diddorol iawn bod y rhan fwy o chi mae'n parhau o'r ein yn mis Medi leni. Very interesting to see that. We have another question for you as well. So when do you intend delivering the progression qualification? Will it be this September 2021 or September 2022, please? Give you a few more seconds. Okay, diolch yn fawr iawn I chi. The majority are thinking of September 2022. Thank you very much. Very interesting to see. And the last question. Please select if you would like additional webinars on the following. So for City and Guild specific policies and procedures, and our EAL specific policies and procedures as well. This could be a little bit of a tricky one if you wanted both. Some of you are more familiar perhaps with the EL policies and procedures, and some may be more familiar with the City and Guilds. Okay, I'll show the results now. Okay, interesting to see that the highest percentage there is with the EAL. We do listen to your feedback, as we said, and we will be taking this this forward. So we have had a few questions in, and if you have got any more questions, then please do type them in the questions tab on the right hand side. And so I'd like to pass you over to Mark now, who's going to be managing the questions.
Okay.
Thanks.
I'm just trying to find the questions tab.
Okay, shall I go with the first one then? There's only a
If
few
you could, I'd see the questions tab on my.
Yeah, do you want me, shall I ask the first one, and then we can take it from there. So within the FE college, I work for a plumbing and electrical sit in a different department to all the other trades. We share a centre numbers across various campuses. How will the EQA distinguish between registrations for the foundation qualification across the two separate departments? Or will there be a way to do this so we have separate EQAs? That's the first question.
I don't mind taking that one then, certainly from City and Guilds then, so thanks for that, Angharad. So the centre and the EQA would need to have a discussion then about where the candidates are based and where the staff are based then. So it may mean that the sampling activities need to be separated out. We can have a look at that. If there's different campuses, then each campus, it could be that they get approval, you know, they have separate centres, they may already have that, or everything could be coordinated under the one centre number. It's up to the centres how it is, you know, how they want to work then. But there would need to be a bit of discussion then between the centre, the EQA, and us within the quality teams as well, you know, if there does need to be that additional sampling in order to get the breadth then that's required. Does that answer that question? Does that help at all?
That's great, thanks Susan.
Thank you.
We've had a few
questions.
Okay, great, thanks.
We've got a question in from Ian Hogg. If a centre has more than one site, does a centre need a separate approval needed for each? I think that was mentioned in the slides that separate approval would be required for different sites.
Yeah. So can I say as well, so if a centre, so we have a lead centre and they may have sub-centres, perhaps with a suffix at the end. So with City and Guilds, it might be centre number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then A, B, C, D. So if those sub-centres want approval, then they would need to submit an application form. However, if it's a site, as in a placement somewhere, then no. It was just to clarify that difference between sub-centre and sites. Then, if it's an assessment site, there doesn't need to be approval for that. Then, so that's an assessment site. It would only be for the centre. I hope I haven't confused that or muddied that answer at all.
Yeah, thanks for that, Susan. Much appreciated. Another one from Ian. With regards to existing legacy qualifications, will centres have the option of delivering existing level 1 diploma qualifications, example level 1 diploma in bricklaying, should they not feel ready to offer the new foundation qualification? If somebody from City and Guilds can pick that up regarding foundation qual.
Can I just ask, this has been approached this morning, and I know Dr. Daniel Tromans is here. Dan, would you be happy to answer that one? Because we've just had clarification on this morning from you, haven't we?
Yes, no problem. Yeah, thank you, Angharad. Yes, so from this September, we will be allowing all current qualifications to continue to be made available, providing the awarding bodies continue to make them available. So in that sense, yes, the level 1 diploma in bricklaying and so on will be available for learners. What I would stress, and please look at the letter that Qualifications Wales sent out alongside the infographic, which I believe there are links to in this presentation. really think about the learner journey this September and next September to ensure that their journey is the most appropriate for the learner. I am also aware that the Curriculum Quality Group, which is the Vice Principals Network, which works through programmes for learning, will be looking at which programmes for learning will be available from September 2022. So further information may be available after that. A final note is a link to the letter that we sent out on Monday. We are hosting our own webinars on March the 8th and March the 15th. There are links in the letter to register, and we'll go through the transitional arrangements and what will be available this September and the September after in more detail at those meetings.
Okay, thank you very
Thanks
much.
for
that. Next question is from Gwneud Jones. Wanted both but could only pick EAL. Was that from the poll?
Yes, there have been. We will look into that, Lloyd, and we'll make sure that we're holding webinars to look at Sitting Guilds and EAL's policies and procedures.
Yeah, okay. And from Cloyd again, we'll have two centre we have two centre numbers at College Cambria. Are there two different sites, Cloyd? I'm not too sure.
I think that just refers to the do they need approval for the two different sites, which Susan's already answered.
Yeah. Centres can choose if they have a number of sub-centres, then they can choose that each sub-centre gets approval. However, they may decide to offer it from the lead centre, from one centre, and all the other sites would be assessment sites then, so to speak. So it is up to the centres how it is they want to run that. But yeah, if sub-centres want approval in their own right, they would need to apply for that then.
Okay, thank you. Another one just coming from Claire. We are ready to apply. If we want to wait to include the progression and apprenticeship quals, when can we apply? What is the deadline for applications?
You can apply whenever at the moment, so you can submit an application form just now. You could include all the qualifications in it, so if you want approval with both City and Guilds and EAL for foundation, progression and the level 3, by all means you can submit that application then. The only thing is the only one that we could approve at the moment is the foundation, because that's the only qualification where the documentation is available. So it would mean that you would have an approval activity for that foundation qualification. Once the progression and the level 3 go live, it would mean separate approval activities. So it is entirely up to centres then. When we receive an application, we will contact the centre just to confirm what it is they want to do. Yeah, it is entirely up to centres. You can submit an application just now. We are encouraging centres to submit their application at the moment, and that way they're ready to go from the 1st of September then. So instead of waiting until the 1st of September to then perhaps, we've got the 30-day KPI for approval. So it could be, November before you get approval. So we are encouraging centres to apply just now. And on the 1st of September, we would be updating Sparta Touch and Walled Garden, so that centres and their EQAs can see what qualifications they have approval for. I hope that answers that.
Okay, thank you, Susan, for picking that one up. I don't know if there's any more questions. That was the last question I can see that's come in. But if anybody's got any further questions to type in. If not, well, hand over to Harry to close off the session. Thank you.
Thank you all. I'll keep on checking the questions tabs just to make sure that we haven't missed any more that's coming in. No, can't see any more coming in. So if you have got any questions, then just put them in the tab.
Yeah. Sorry, and Karen, can I just say before we move on, if you may be sitting tonight or tomorrow or whenever and you then think of other questions, please don't hesitate to get in contact with us then. So the contact details are within the slide deck, but you can contact the quality and customer service teams within City and Guilds and EEL at any time. So please don't hesitate with any questions. There are no silly questions then. Just get in touch. Please don't be stuck with anything. Just shout out. We're more than happy to have a chat with you then, more than happy. Thanks, Angharad.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thanks Susan. Thank you, Mark. That's great, thank you. So, diolch yn fawr iawn I chi gyd am ymuno gyda ni bore yma. We have got another session on the 4th of March next week. It's exactly the same session as today. So if you do feel as if your colleagues should be joining that webinar, then please do send the link. The link is on the Skills for Wales website. Fel nes I sôn yn gynharach, mae adborth yn bwysig iawn I ni ac mae'n helpu I wneud yn siŵr ei bod yn cyfathrebu yn y ffordd gywir I chi. Mae hyn yn rhoi gwybod I ni pan bod angen gwella'r wybodaeth rydyn ni yn rhoi. Plis sicrhewch eich bod nhw'n llenwi yr arolwg adborth I fewn ar ôl yr webinar hon. So thank you very much. As I mentioned earlier, your feedback is important to us as it can really help us make sure we are communicating to you in the right way and informs us on making improvements to the information we provide to you. So please, as I said earlier, look out for the email asking for your feedback on this webinar as we are here to support you. Felly diolch yn fawr iawn I chi gyd a please cysylltwch gyda ni os gallwn ni gefnogi mewn unrhyw ffordd. So thank you very much, and as Susan said earlier, please get in touch with us if we can support you in any way. Felly gallwch chi gweld ar y sgrin fanna bod ddoi e-bost fanna ar gyfer City and Guilds ac EAL ar wahân. So thank you very much. As Susan said, if you need any further support, then there are 2 email addresses there, or if you can contact any one of us directly. So I'd like to wish you all, I can see I'm just going to check for any last questions before we close. Mark, I think we've done them all, haven't we? Yes.
So, yeah.
No more questions. So that's all I need to say then. Well, thank you very much again. Diolch yn fawr iawn I chi gyd. Cymerwch ofal a gobeithio gweld chi gyd cyn bo hir. So thank you very much to you all, and thank you very much to our presenters today. So thank you Dr. Dana Tromans, Mark, Alexandra, James, Susan, Andy and Sian for your contributions to the webinar. So I'd like to thank you all again and take care and stay safe. Diolch yn fawr iawn.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye now.
Okay, bye-bye all.
I don't know if Francis is on yet. I think he's going around lunchtime, so